Let us take a moment and pause, bow our heads in a word of prayer as we begin these proceedings this evening. Let us pray. God of prophets and apostles, whose Spirit is constantly working among us, we come together this evening to celebrate the community and social development achievement of some of your servants in this province. We would invoke now your presence at this Order of Prince Edward Island investiture ceremony as we honor these 3 new members this evening. O God, help us to fully realize the opportunities and responsibilities you have placed upon each one of us to positively influence the society in which we live. Our Father, give us a voice to praise your goodness in this land and a will to serve you now and always. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Glass. I would now ask Elder Levi for the Mi'kmaq prayer. I guess maybe he's not here. Oh, sorry.
Already. Och Janiskam, get me dead my get lamps as you get our killer go. Also, the major get quaywin. Pantarune Kulakligar would have been, which I beg, Kedesno, Kesno, or Odno, Kishnuma amigos with quavin. Oh, Gizo calls it my nego, Klukton and Piggy on the enemy do it. Tango visit to a Cisco now. Tango would make and sit one now. Our nego looked and close on me now. Also, my gisco near Walakis oak. Pantarwin Kamlamona, nego nada Chankidas Octidin. Abo omarin kerewe gizo, mena inutke, abje, bemginamazi. Jugot quavin a cruisi jamis pitkidumin. The old mouse listen, elagina motan. Get me den mujik near Willag, Walling is niskam. Hey, I was at Nogama.
Thank you, Elder Levi. Your Honor, H. Frank Lewis, Chief Justice David Jenkins, Honorable Premier H. Wade McLaughlin, and other distinguished guests, welcome to the investiture ceremony of the 2016 Order of PEI. Votre Honneur, H. Frank Lewis, le juge en chef, Monsieur David Jenkins, Monsieur le Premier ministre Wade McLaughlin, et les autres invités, bienvenue à la cérémonie d'investiture 2016 de l'Ordre de l'Île du Prince-Édouard. Oh, you can be seated by, sorry. My name is Charles Curley, and I'm the chair of the Order of PEI Island Advisory Council. Mon nom est Charles Curley, et je suis le président du Conseil consultatif de l'Ordre de l'Île du Prince-Édouard. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the presence of members of the Order of PEI Advisory Council with us tonight. I've already mentioned Chief Justice David Jenkins, UPI President Dr. Ala Abdelaziz, Clerk of the Executive Council Paul Ledwell. We also have Doug LeBlanc, Jackie McKay, Brian Anir, and Melinda Mulligan. We have regrets from Sandy Gallant. The Order of Prince Edward Island is the highest honor the province can bestow. It gives public recognition to individual islanders whose efforts and accomplishments have been exemplary. There are many citizens who make remarkable contributions to the social, economic, and cultural life of our province and its people, and the Order of Prince Edward Island is a unique opportunity to honor them. Cette distinction permet de rendre hommage aux insulaires qui ont fait preuve d'excellence ou d'un leadership exceptionnel dans leur communauté et dans leur profession ou métier. Décerné annuellement à la suite d'un processus public de mise en candidature, il s'agit de la plus haute distinction attribuée à un citoyen de la province. I would now ask His Honor, Chancellor of the Order of PEI and the Lieutenant Governor of Prince Edward Island, H. Frank Lewis, to please give us his remarks. Je demanderai maintenant à son honneur le chancelier de l'Ordre de l'île du Prince-Édouard et le lieutenant-gouverneur H. Frank Lewis de nous adresser la parole.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening, everyone, and welcome. Honorable Premier, Chief Justice David Jenkins, MLAs Kathleen Casely and Darlene Compton, members of the Order of Prince Edward Island, Chair of the Order of Prince Edward Island, Charles Curley, and advisory committee members, honored 2016 recipients, special guests, family, and friends. Welcome to Government House for this very special occasion. This house has been witness to a great deal of history, and today we add another page, or 3 pages, to the richness of our history in service, leadership, and legend. We are celebrating not only with and for the wonderful Islanders being recognized this evening, but for our province and Canada. On this occasion, as every year at this time, we celebrate the best of Prince Edward Island, Ms. Carolyn Bateman, Dr. Dagny Dreyer, and Captain Joe Sark. You are joining an order of people who in intention and in fact are the best of Prince Edward Island and represent our provincial character. We will all shortly have the benefit of hearing their formal introductions as members, which will describe only a fraction of their lifelong contributions. For these 3 are truly great Canadians, which makes them ambassadors for Prince Edward Island wherever they may go, wherever their stories are told, whosoever lives they have touched. Members of our order shine. They live their lives well beyond themselves and their families or their immediate communities to reach the depths of the hearts of strangers and leave legacies that outlast generations. I thank you, Ms. Bateman, Carolyn, as I know, Dr. Dagny Dreyer, and Captain Sark, individually for your extraordinary life. This year, we have 3 recipients who have been recognized well beyond Prince Edward Island for their leadership. Carolyn Bateman has been active in international circles for her advances in care and lifetime supports for people with autism. Dr. Dreyer pioneered a new approach to cancer treatment that was recognized by the Canadian Cancer Society and acknowledged by her peers. Captain Sark has impacted so many issues for the Mi'kmaq and other Indigenous peoples, as well as Acadians from the UN to the Vatican. They are truly remarkable people, and I know I can speak for all when I offer thanks and appreciation to each of you for your outstanding contributions and achievements. The Order of Prince Edward Island until today was at its pinnacle, yet it is again undeniably enriched with your inclusion as inductees, honored members, and caring citizens. This is our province's highest honor. You have honored us. As I am entrusted to do on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, I congratulate each of you and thank you for sharing your gift with us and the world. Thank you very much. And the lights are on upstairs. If anybody hasn't been here, or if you have and want to go back upstairs again, feel free to walk around. I don't do tours, but the doors are open. Have a look around. Thanks. Sir.
Merci, Votre Honneur. Thank you, Your Honor. Maintenant, je demanderai au Premier ministre de l'île du Prince-Édouard, l'Honorable H. Wade McLaughlin, de nous adresser la parole. I will now ask the Premier of Prince Edward Island, the Honorable H. Wade McLaughlin, to give us his remarks.
Thank you, Charles. Merci, Charles. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Kwe. Your Honor, and Chancellor of the Order of Prince Edward Island, H. Frank Lewis, Chief Justice, Elder Turley Levi, distinguished guests, members of the legislature, and everyone who's gathered here this evening to celebrate and join and recognize the achievements and contributions of 3 distinguished Prince Edward Islanders who are being invested in the Order of Prince Edward Island for 2016. Carolyn Bateman, Dr. Dagny Dreyer, and Captain John Joe Sark are indeed deserving recipients, and I extend to them our most sincere congratulations. This year's recipients were chosen from among 53 worthy nominees, and they join a distinguished group of Islanders who have been honoured over the past 20 years since the creation of the Order of Prince Edward Island for their contributions to the social, economic and cultural life of our island and its people. And may I say that in recognizing the achievements of the 3 distinguished Islanders who will be recognized this evening, and those who are currently members of the Order, we really celebrate our community and the quality of life and the extent of volunteerism and giving and working together that really constitutes our great province. And I'm mindful, and I think we can all be, of how that reaches out, or what we are ultimately celebrating through the Order of Prince Edward Island when we recall the events of a week ago tomorrow, when our schools were closed, and to think that Islanders as young as students in their first few weeks of kindergarten left school that day with a sense of safety, or that they belong to a community that actually works, and that they are looked after by people who care for them in the fullest sense, and they go back to school on Thursday with an enhanced sense of the community that they belong to. And that to me underscores why it is that we have the Order of Prince Edward Island, and why we have so much to celebrate together as a community, and that we do that through 3 individuals who have brought particular benefit and distinction and contributions to our province. Carolyn Bateman, for decades of exceptional leadership on behalf of island families and of young people with autism. Dagny Dreyer, for transforming cancer care in our province over a period of 3 decades with humanity and humility and leadership. And Captain John Joe Sark, for building a meaningful and lasting bridge of understanding between cultures as spiritual leader for the Mi'kmaq people, and building a sense of confidence and identity for the Mi'kmaq people as the founders of our province. It's true that the Order of Prince Edward Island represents the highest honor the province can bestow on our citizens. And the contributions to island life made by the 3 individuals recognized tonight are much more significant than this award itself can ever recognize. You represent the very best in what we have and what we stand for as Islanders, how we dream big, how we help each other, and how we work hard to do great things. And you add to our province's impressive strength and spirit, and you're helping to build a brighter future for all of us and for future generations. So each of our recipients tonight, you should be very proud of a well-deserved honor, and I'm sure that your family and friends who are joined with us today can partake fully in the recognition and in the sense of pride. And of course, you join a group that's been recognized over the years. And may I say that I also want to recognize the advisory committee and the work that you people do. I had the opportunity while I was president of PEI to serve for 12 years as a member of the advisory committee, and this is a task that takes considerable work, collaboration and discernment in recognizing the 3 individuals who are being celebrated tonight, and in over time using and seeing the Order of Prince Edward Island as an opportunity to celebrate what we stand for as a community. Have a great evening, everyone. Congratulations again to our three recipients. Thank you. Merci. Walalia.
Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. We will now proceed with the investitures of the new members of the Order of PEI for 2016. Nous allons maintenant procéder avec l'investiture des nouveaux membres de l'Ordre. Premièrement, je demanderai à M. Wes McAleer de nous présenter le premier récipiendaire. I would now ask Mr. Wes McAleer to present our first inductee of the evening.
Your Honor, Mr. Premier, Chief Justice Jenkins, inductees to today's ceremony, and elected officials, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege of nominating Carolyn Bateman to this order. And for the past 14 years, I've known this lady, and she just wasn't setting out on a task or an objective. This is a lady that's been on a mission. And I tell you, because I know that Steve and Mark Connolly were at those early meetings in which when you have $5,000 in the bank, or even $50,000, and you know that you need 20 times that in order to accomplish your mission, you've got to have passion and commitment, and you've got to want to really stick in there. So 15 years later, we have the Stars for Life, and we have a community at the corner of Beach Grove and May Point that's servicing 5 families, but it's also servicing about 40 other families who have respite care and who have service in that particular facility. And it was all because, really, of Carolyn Bateman. I know her husband, Bob, was there, and I know that many of us were around the table. But at times, I'm telling you, it took somebody with the commitment and the passion to really make it happen. And it took a long, long time to make it happen. The mission that she's on continues. There are over 200 families, or over, well, at least 40 families and about 200 who are diagnosed with autism. It's not going to go away. It's not solved because of Carolyn, but Carolyn has laid the groundwork for many to be serviced or better serviced. And I think that one of the challenges that we all have as a community is to have people who care and who have compassion. And I've lived in several other communities throughout Canada, and I can tell you that Prince Edward Island is way up there in terms of the people, examples tonight, who make it a community that people love to visit, but we call it home. And the challenges that we have, of course, have to be dealt with in a cooperative effort because of our size and because of who we are. We have wonderful people in our community, and these people today, I think, are an example of that. Makes me feel really warm to be here tonight to recognize their accomplishments and to work with them and continue to work with them. And I want to thank everyone who has helped us in this order to recognize these people, and particularly, of course, the people that we nominated here tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor, I want to present Carolyn Bateman for induction into the Order of PEI. Congratulations, Ms. Bateman. Félicitations. I would now ask Mr. Charles Kelleher to present our next inductee. Maintenant, je demanderai à M. Charles Kelleher de nous présenter le prochain récipiendaire.
Merci, Charles. Thank you, Charles. Your Honor, Chief Justice Jenkins, Honorable Premier, recipients, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I did not nominate Dr. Dreyer for this award this evening. The Canadian Cancer Society did, and I am here in that capacity as a representative. I am the current chair of the Canadian Cancer Society. And I can say that this is probably the best thing that I've had to do so far in that capacity. I am honored to be here and associated with the society in making these few remarks. In 2012, Dr. Dagny Dreyer was honored by the Canadian Cancer Society's National Award for Excellence in Medicine and Health in recognition of her outstanding contribution to advancing the Canadian Cancer Society's mission of reducing the burden of cancer in Canada. Now, this award is given to only one person in Canada each year. Dr. Dreyer has been instrumental in transforming cancer care and treatment in Prince Edward Island over the past 30 years with humanity and humility. She came to Prince Edward Island in 1981 as the province's first medical oncologist and is highly respected in her field well beyond the borders of Prince Edward Island. Her primary focus has been in the management of cancer patients through the whole spectrum from diagnosis and treatment, including palliative care. Dr. Dreyer's drive and dedication has seen cancer go from one receptionist and herself as a department at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital to the fully equipped cancer treatment center that we have here on Prince Edward Island today. Under her leadership and administration, the Cancer Treatment Center has led the country in having weekly multidisciplinary rounds. There's a dietitian, a spiritual care worker, a social worker, and a patient navigator who assist patients and guide them through their cancer journey. Through her excellence in her profession, her passion, and her personal conviction, Dr. Dreyer has helped build the Cancer Treatment Center into the reputable institution it is today. Care of patients and their families was of paramount concern to Dr. Dreyer, consistently demonstrating sensitive respect for her patients at one of the most vulnerable times imaginable. Now, as mentioned, I'm here as a representative of the Canadian Cancer Society. I do not know Dr. Dreyer personally or professionally, but I can share with you that I am an alumnus of the Cancer Treatment Center and feel that I personally have benefited from the work and dedication of Dr. Dreyer. I just happen to be a patient at the Cancer Treatment Center for 2 months at the old Cancer Treatment Center, 2 months at the interim Cancer Treatment Center, and was one of the first customers at the new Cancer Treatment Center. And believe me, there's quite a difference in the facility we have today than we did prior to its opening. Dr. Dreyer has many other interests. I understand she paints water and acrylic. She is inspired by the nature and beauty of the land and the ocean. And as most of you probably are aware, along with her husband, she's associated with famous Rossignol wines in Little Sands, PEI. I hope you have an opportunity to enjoy them at some point in time. Prior to coming to this event this evening, I was at a Cancer Society meeting, and I was mentioning to a lady by the name of Liz Dobbin, who is a former manager of the Cancer Treatment Center. And I told her what I had the honor of doing this evening, and I said, "Can you tell me anything I might be able to add to my remarks?" And she said, "Just tell everyone that Dr. Dreyer was the heart and soul of the Cancer Treatment Center." Dr. Dreyer has unselfishly served the people of Prince Edward Island, and as a result is most deserving of induction into the Order of Prince Edward Island. Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor, I present to you Dr. Dagny Dreyer for induction in the Order of Prince Edward Island. Congratulations, Dr. Dreyer. Félicitations. I would now ask Ms. Michelle Pinault to introduce the next inductee. Je demanderai maintenant à Mme Michelle Pinault de nous introduire le prochain récipiendaire de l'Ordre.
Merci, Charles. Your Honor, the Honorable H. Frank Lewis, and Chancellor for Order of Prince Edward Island. Honorable H. Wade McLaughlin, Premier of Prince Edward Island. Distinguished inductees into the Order of Prince Edward Island. Chair and members of the Advisory Council for the Order of Prince Edward Island. Distinguished members of the Legislative Assembly, Ms. Kathleen Casey, Ms. Darlene Compton. Honorable David Jenkins, Chief Justice for Prince Edward Island. Elder and Reverend, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs. Sustenance farmer, industrious laborer, scholar, husband, father, grandfather, teacher, economic development officer, program manager, ardent advocate, author, filmmaker, Supreme Court and Court of Appeal intervener, elder, ambassador, dreamer. These are but some of the terms that can be used to refer to our next inductee, your next inductee, into the prestigious Order of Prince Edward Island. The list could go on and on. While still in his teens and with a grade 8 education, he moved to Boston to work as a laborer on the loading docks, sending money back home to family here in Prince Edward Island. Ambitious, he soon became a machinist, and eventually he moved back home to continue his education, graduating from Summerside High School. He did not stop there. In 1985, he became the first Mi'kmaq student to graduate from the University of Prince Edward Island, obtaining a Bachelor of Arts degree with a major in political science. From there, he embarked upon a distinguished career and avocation. He and his wife, Eileen, raised 4 successful children, each distinguished in their own right. Through the years, they also opened their home, their arms, and their hearts to numerous foster children, one of whom is now Chief of Lennox Island First Nation. Be it as Community Development Officer, public servant, elder, impassioned advocate, or courtroom intervener, this inductee has worked tirelessly for the advancement of First Peoples' human, inherent, and treaty rights in Prince Edward Island and across the globe. He has fostered economic development, autonomy, community and individual pride by coordinating training in traditional art forms such as basket making and developing and implementing community projects involving the extraction of peat moss, harvesting of mussel mud, and the cultivation of oysters. In 1985, he was named captain to the Mi'kmaq Grand Council. This lifetime role is the highest honor that can be granted to a member of the Mi'kmaq Nation. With a long history, the Grand Council continues to be recognized and supported by the Mi'kmaq people and remains committed to and responsible for protecting the Mi'kmaq Nation, its rights, dignities, and obligations. In 1988, he published Micmac Legends of Prince Edward Island to wide acclaim. Now long out of print, he is planning for a second edition with additional new material to be included. So any of you that have the first volume, there's another one that you'll have to add to your libraries. He has co-drafted the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples of the World, proclaimed in 1994. Has had audiences with the Pope, and has guest lectured at universities across Canada, the United States, and in France. He co-produced and directed Spirit World, the story of the Mi'kmaq. He was appointed as Mi'kmaq ambassador to the Vatican in 1994, to the United Nations Human Rights Commission in Geneva, Switzerland in 1994, to the Acadian National Society in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1999, and to the Acadian National Society in France in 2002. We probably all know the strong ties between the Mi'kmaq and the Acadian peoples in Atlantic Canada and in the world. In his role as guardian and keeper of traditional knowledge, he regularly hosts sweat lodge ceremonies and talking circles, which are attended by people from all over, actually all over the world. He has appeared as an expert witness and intervener in court proceedings, including the Supreme Court of Canada and the Court of Appeal of Nova Scotia, and been successful. In 2005, he was presented with the prestigious National Aboriginal Achievement Foundation's Award in Heritage and Spirituality. Also in 2005, he received an honorary Doctor of Laws degree from the University of Prince Edward Island. In 2013, he was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Unsung Heroes event held at the Confederation Centre of the Arts, which is Canada's national memorial to the Fathers of Confederation. In 2015, he published his comprehensive work, The Mi'kmaq and the Crown, Understanding Treaties in Maritime Canadian History, which is already in its second printing, only published in 2013 and already in its second printing, and is being adopted in public school curricula across the Maritimes. One of his own personal treasured memories occurred when he was appointed by the Mi'kmaq Grand Council as ambassador to the Vatican in Rome and was asked to hand deliver a letter to Pope John Paul II asking for an apology for the wrongs that had occurred in residential schools. In spite of serious health considerations, surviving several heart attacks, and managing diabetes, he continues to maintain a daily prayer circle for those in need and host sweat lodge ceremonies, talking circles, and other healing ceremonies with his wife Eileen, with the requisite potlucks held in their home following. These selfish acts meet the needs of many and And they are just that, selfless acts. To say that this individual is an outstanding and legendary Islander is an understatement beyond measure. To visit his and his wife Eileen's home, their welcoming home, you will be greeted with warmth, openness, respect, and tolerance, strong tea, good cheer, and what some in present and other company might deem bad or at least questionable, jokes. I've heard a few here and there. Again, together with his wife Eileen, our next inductee into the Order of Prince Edward Island has hosted people from all cultures, all religions, all occupations, walks of life. He will tell you we all come from the same Creator, and we are not here to debate the name. We will heal together because it's that we believe, not what we believe. Have faith in what you believe instead of letting beliefs become your faith. He will also tell you that you must consider the next 7 generations in all that you do, in all of your actions. These pearls of wisdom, and also, you're looking good. As you are all witness here this evening, this inductee's inspirational, illustrious, and distinguished career and avocation spanning more than 4 decades of time has earned him numerous recognitions, and I was surprised to learn that it had not yet earned him induction into the Order of Prince Edward Island. So when I learned that, I busied myself with preparing a nomination, and I'm pleased that here on this auspicious evening, it's taking place. It is with great gratitude and pride in what is a tremendous honor for me to present to you all here this evening your next inductee into the Order of Prince Edward Island, the ever-esteemed, ever-distinguished Captain John Joseph Sark, Honorary Doctor of Laws.
Mr. Chancellor, I present to you Captain John Joe Sark for induction into the Order of PEI. Congratulations, Captain Sark. Félicitations. On behalf of the Order of Prince Edward Island Advisory Council, I would like to congratulate all of tonight's recipients. Félicitations au nom du Conseil consultatif de l'Ordre de l'île du Prince-Édouard. I would also like to thank Jacqueline Sorensen-Young for providing the music tonight. Merci, Jacqueline. This brings to a close the official part of the evening's ceremony. Je vous remercie d'avoir assisté à la cérémonie de ce soir. Thank you for attending this year's investiture ceremony. Please join us following the ceremony for the Premier's reception here in the main foyer. Veuillez nous joindre suivant la cérémonie d'investiture pour la réception offerte par le Premier ministre. Would you please all rise for the departure of his honor? Veuillez s'il vous plaît vous lever pour le départ de son honneur. Merci et bonne soirée. Thank you.